All right, so I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. And before I go jump into the webinar, I'm here with Blair, who's going to be helping answering any questions that you guys will have during the webinar. So feel free to post those questions. We will be trying to answer those throughout the webinar. We do have some time at the end to answer any questions. If we don't get to your question, we will make sure that we email you afterwards and get all those questions answered. And then look for our other RunSignup 101 webinar series that will be going on through the next couple weeks and months, just so that way everybody can learn all of our basic tools and everything like that. So today we're going to be covering RunSignup 101, a RunSignup onboarding guide, and I'm going to be specifically taking you through that race wizard on how to properly set up your race and events, that payment account, and then we will jump into some additional items into the race dashboard as well. So starting with our onboarding team, we have myself, I'm Val Lofton. I'm our lead onboarding manager. We have Katie Atherton, Blair Lohman, Madison Braswell, and Whitney Taylor. We go through all of the new races to ensure that they are ready to open for registration and help you through any of the beginning basics issues that you may be having, particularly that payment account setup, where we can help you navigate through that process and make sure you guys are ready to open by your registration dates. So today's agenda, we're going to go through that race setup, payment account setup, navigating the race dashboard, and we're going to be touching on race website and how to keep that branding on point with your brands, your logos, color schemes, things like that. So jumping right into the race setup with our race wizard, you can create a race. If you've never done so on RunSignup, you can do it from the runsignup.com and click the pink create a race. If you do have existing races that you are a race director on, you can do it under your profile, my races, and then you'll see a blue tab that says create a new race as well. So for the step one in the race wizard, you're going to want the race basics. This is going to be the race name. You want that to be short and something that can be remembered. You don't want it to be too long. Sponsors can always be added elsewhere, even if they are a title sponsor. You're going to want to try to keep that race name as short as possible. The race description is mandatory, and that really should just be a very quick overview of the race itself. You can add a lot of the details about where the race is, parking information, awards, things like that in other custom content sections and other places throughout the race itself. So you want to keep that race description as short and to the point as possible of exactly what is going to be going on at your race. You do have to have an actual physical address, even if your race is going to be virtual. So for those in-person events, you're going to want to actually put the physical address of the race itself, where it will be starting. If you do have a virtual run, you can manipulate address line 1 as well as the city, so that way it can be reflected as anywhere, virtual run, things like that. Just make sure that your time zone is correct, so that way it displays properly in all of the emails as well as on the race calendar. For the race URL, you're going to want to make sure that you choose something that's going to roll over from year to year. You don't want to have any identifiers like a year or the 5th annual that will prevent your race from being able to roll over to the following year, and you'll have to start over or have your URL updated. You'll be able to build out shorter URLs later in the race dashboard, where you can share those ones, and it's a little bit easier instead of having to remember the whole runsignup.com, race, town, city, and then the name of the race itself. We also do have the option where you can bring over a custom domain, so don't hesitate to go ahead and purchase those, and it's very easy setup to bring over that domain and keep that branding on point. The next step would be to set up your events. The event name should be pretty much the distance that you're going to be completing. You don't really need to restate the name of the race in the event name. Just a simple 5K run walk will do. You want to make sure that you choose the most applicable race type, and that's how it's going to be displaying on our calendar and when someone searches for 5K virtual races, they're going to be able to pull it up on our calendar that way. You want to make sure that you do have a different event that is set up for each distance that is being offered at your race. So if you're offering a 5K and a 10K, you're going to want to set up 2 separate events just by simply clicking the Add Another Event button. For hybrid events, you are going to actually set up 2 separate events as well. So you're going to have your in-person events, and you can label it as 5K in person, and then you can name the second one as virtual 5K if you would like to. The virtual option, you're going to want to make sure you choose virtual/challenge, so that way you can enable those virtual results and they're able to submit those times as they complete their race or their challenge. So the processing fees are also chosen on step 1. You can always change this later under the financial section if you wanted to revisit it. Most races are going to pass the processing fee for the registrations off to the registrant. They are used to it, so don't feel like it's a burden on them. You do have the option to also cover that processing fee, or you can split that processing fee 50-50 between the participant and the race itself. And then you can also have different, cover the processing fees differently for donations and store items as well. So you can opt to have the participant pay the registration processing fee, but as the race, you can absorb the donation processing fees and give them the option to cover it if you would like to. Those can be done under the financial section as well. We have flexible gender options. So if you wanted to offer non-binary or the option to not say, those are now available. You'll want to make sure that you do talk with your timer, so that way they can accommodate that and make sure that everything can be set up properly within their timing system, and then know what gender categories you plan on offering in the awards. If you already know who your timer is, you can add them to your race so they can access the reports needed in order to time your race properly, as well as push results up to RunSignup simply by entering in the company name or their email address. If they're already a timer listed within RunSignup, it'll give them access immediately. If they are not, it'll send them an invite that they can accept the access and give them the information that they need. If you don't have the timer right away, or you don't know if you're going to be working with one, you can find a timer on runsignup.com/timer search. We do encourage everyone to find a timer and at least get quotes, so that you can offer the best experience possible for your participants. Just for a quick overview of why you should use a timer. They do offer, of course, accurate and reliable results using different methods of timing, such as RFID chips, mats and timing systems. They help with data management and reporting as well. They're not just there to help you keep times, but they can also help you read those reports a little bit better, posting results, things like that. Most timers integrate with RunSignup very well, so they are able to help keep that participant data clean. And then they don't have to also have manual entries. And then the finish line setup and just giving that overall feel to the race itself with finish line banners, clocks, things like that, and just make it more of a race experience instead of just a simple fun run. Stepping into step 2 of the Race Wizard, this is going to be the very basic information about the events that you set up in step 1. So the distances is important that you do list it correctly, because as I mentioned before, that's how they will display on our calendar. So you'll want to make sure that you put in the 5K or 3.1 miles. And then the additional information will only display on the event info page for the participant. So you can keep that kind of brief and to the point. You don't need to add a whole lot of information on there. This wouldn't be a good spot to put in, awards or anything like that, but you could put in information like it's a 2-loop course, something along that line. And then you can always go back and add in more distances if you decided you wanted to add in like a 1 mile or something like that. On step 3, this is where you're going to set up your registration periods. We do recommend that you have multiple registration periods as a marketing tool. You want to have an early bird pricing, which will be, your opening price to kind of create some excitement and buzz about your race. You'll want to keep this pricing period open for short enough time to create some urgency for people to get in and registered at the lowest price point possible, but long enough for people to be able to start talking about your race and creating a little bit of buzz and excitement about it. You'll create a second registration period for your regular pricing, and this should be your longest one, several weeks or months leading up to your race. And then you could always end with a late registration price point where you can increase it just a little bit more that last week leading up to the race, or even just for race day. So you'll want to just add in additional registration periods for everyone that you want to. You can't have any overlapping periods, but you could have a gap if you needed to. In the additional registration option fields, you can disable registrations if you needed to, if you have paper registrations only for it or something like that. You can also limit event registration by age. So if you're limiting your beer run to 21 and older, you can limit it to 21 through 99, or if you wanted 12 and under to be able to run the 1 mile, you can do that there. If you have age-based pricing, you don't want to set up 2 separate events. We have other ways that you're able to handle that pricing without having to create 2 separate events though. In step 3 of the Race Wizard is where you will decide how you want people to sign your waiver. The most common is a checkbox, but you can have it display as them being able to put in their name, the initials, their name and date, anything that your organization requires. This waiver is fully customizable, and we do encourage you to make sure that you cover all of your municipalities, school districts, things like that, wherever the school is being hosted. And if needed, you can also add up to 3 additional waivers in our registration from the dashboard. Step 4 is where you're going to set up your giveaways. Your giveaways are typically going to be something that's given away with the registration cost. It's not usually something that's going to cost additional money, and it's usually something that you're going to need to choose an option for. So if you're just giving away a finisher medal, you probably would just put that in the description that every finisher will receive a finisher medal and not have it something that they can choose. By default, it's set up to be a t-shirt because that's the most common item that's going to be given away, where you can edit the small, medium, large, extra large. You can add as many additional sizes as you need to. And the extra price that's optional is if that double XL is going to cost you $3 additional. You could always pass that price on to the participant if needed. If you don't have a giveaway for you, or giveaway information yet, or if you're not going to be offering one, you can always skip it, or you can come back and add it later under the race giveaway / add-on section, and then giveaway. And then you can always add in additional details as well as a picture of your giveaway item, just to create a little bit more excitement about it. And step 5 of the Race Wizard is where you can upload your custom logo as well as a banner image. So you'll be able to choose one of our default ones if you don't have, just temporarily. We do encourage everybody to keep that branding on point with your organization and create a custom banner image, a custom banner and logo. There are also more branding opportunities in the dashboard where you can change the color scheme and things like that. So the banner image is recommended to be a 24 by 800. The sizing, will also be zoomed in to best fit your image. If you don't have a banner image, we do have custom stock photos that you can choose from, but we encourage you to go back and change that to something that will better suit your race and the branding that you have. And then you have different options on there, such as showing the directions, the contact form. You can show the email address that you entered in step 1, or you can use the contact us form, which is probably better, so that way they don't just have your email addresses that are there. You can choose to hide the start times. If you're not sure of the dates yet, but you just want to get the race out there, you can have it listed as to be determined. You can hide events that are not open, and then you can also have a custom wording for the word event if needed to. In step 6 is where you're going to create a new payment account. So you have the option to use an existing payment account, and then you also have other options such as sending instructions by email to the appropriate person. You can choose to set it up later. You can enter it into test mode if you're just kind of testing out RunSignup and you're not sure, or if you just want to be able to go through registration and make sure everything is working before you do that. If you're offering a free event, you can pop that into volunteer or free event mode and be able to accept free registrations that way. Just be aware that setting it up later or waiting to set up could, of course, delay opening up your registration. It can take several days if there's manual checks that are required. So make sure that you allot yourself plenty of time before your anticipated opening registration day. You don't want to wait until the day before. So, for the payment account process, Adyen actually verifies each and every account manually with real people during business hours only. So if you set the payment account up at 4:59 p.m., then it's not going to even be looked at until the next day. So you do want to make sure that you get it done as soon as possible. They also do go through the Know Your Customer checks, where we do have to verify the legal entity as well as the individual that is setting up the payment account on behalf of that organization. So that's why there is personal information that is required by the control person who needs to be tied to the organization to set up that payment account. About 50% of the time, you're going to get an initial failure, and that's just simply because your bank is not participating in the same verification process that Adyen uses. And so you're going to be required to upload additional verifications, such as a voided check, the first page of your bank statement. You can choose to have a letter from your bank or a screenshot of your online banking environment to verify those details and get that payment account set up. So diving into each of these options, just so that you know what's required on them. So a bank statement, you want it to be the first page only. We don't need all 37 pages of it, just the first page. It does need to be dated within the last 2 months. It does have to have the full account name, where it does need to match the legal entity. And if it doesn't, you would choose to use the DBA / the name is different on the bank account section within the merchant account application. It needs to have the account number as well as the bank name and the logo. So you also do not want to redact any information on it or write on the statement itself. That will cause an automatic rejection. For a check, you want the check to be blank with the exception of the void notation. It does need to have the full account name. Again, it has to match that legal entity or using the DBA section. It needs to have the full account number, routing number, and it may not be a starter check. It has to have all of the information on there. A verification letter is basically going to be for new accounts or someone that does not want to provide their bank statement and they don't have any checks, and that's totally acceptable. The full account name must be listed, again, making sure that it matches that legal entity or you using that DBA section. The letter does have to have the account number and the routing number. It needs to be on bank letterhead and dated within 1 month. And the letter, of course, would need to have the employee name and signature in order to be considered an actual letter itself. The least popular and the one that doesn't get approved very often because it requires quite a bit of information on there is a screenshot of your online banking environment. For this to work, it has to have the bank name, the bank logo, the full account name, the account number, the routing number, as well as the day's date. So it's kind of hard to get that all in on a mobile device. Some banks, you can get that on your desktop if you're able to provide that information. It's not the easiest form. I would have to say the easiest one for verification is going to be that voided check. Common mistakes that lead to rejected payment accounts is going to be ripped or stained checks, selfies. Holding that check in front of your computer instead of taking it with your phone is not a good idea. Blurry images, you need to make sure that image is as clear as possible and legible. Too old of documents, so something that's dated outside of 2 months is going to automatically be rejected. Used checks, remember that those checks need to be blank with the exception of the void notation. Incorrect documents such as deposit slips or banking agreements are not accepted. And then, of course, mismatching data, meaning that the legal entity name is not matching the name on the bank account and you have not provided the DBA or the name different on bank account on the application. Sometimes you'll end with a pending completion by RunSignup, and this is just a quick manual review that's required by our risk team. Normally, you will see a completion within just a few minutes to a couple hours here. If more information is required, our risk team will reach out asking you for that additional information. If they ask out for or reach out and ask for an IRS letter, and that is simply because the EIN number that is listed on the application does not match the legal entity name that was entered. So you have the option of either sending in that IRS letter to our risk team, or we could also provide you the link where you can update that legal entity name to make sure it matches the EIN number exactly. And then you'll get a payment account approval, usually with a phone call from one of your onboarding account representatives, and you'll also receive an automated email. So after your payment account is approved, you will go on to step 7, where you will have the recommended settings. We do recommend that you turn on event insurance, referral rewards, incomplete emails, and then price increase emails. But these are just recommended settings. If you don't want them enabled, you can simply uncheck those and save and finish. If you don't uncheck them in step 7 of the wizard, you won't be able to go back and do it. You'll have to find out how to disable them in different spots through the dashboard. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you read each of those sections and decide whether or not you want those on. So at that point, your race is set up complete and you're ready to open at that point, but there may be some additional things within the dashboard that you want to do just to personalize and keep that branding on point with your organization, and maybe start some donations, fundraising, things like that. So we're going to jump in with navigating the dashboard. This is one of the most common questions of people of how do I actually find my race? You're going to be able to find and get to your race dashboard by logging into your RunSignup account, clicking on the little person icon in the upper right hand corner, and then going to my races, and you can click directly on the race that you need to access, and that'll take you right to the dashboard. So a couple of searches that we have right on the dashboard. The first one up at the top there in the blue, you can search for participants, current or past participants, just simply by first name, last name, email, bib number, things like that. So if you're trying to find a Val Lofton and see how many years that she participated, you could just simply put in Val or Lofton or anything like that, and it'll pull up current and past data for anybody with that name. Over in the gray section for the race dashboard, you have a menu search. So if you're looking for something that you can't navigate too quickly or you don't remember where it is, such as donations or fundraising, things like that, URL, you can put it in the menu search and it'll come up with all of the options that you have there containing those words. So the dashboard and some data expansion, just so that way you can kind of look and see what's going on. Over in the signups, over in the right-hand corner here, that's going to give you a drop down of your total registrations. This is just kind of a quick overview of the numbers that you have for the year. For absolute accurate data, you will want to make sure that you look at the participant report. But this will give you a quick overview and a comparison of year to year to see how you're doing within the date ranges, such as the last 30 days, the last 107 days, such as this one, as well as total money raised. So we have the option to add in additional registration questions, so you can gather more data that is pertinent to your race. We do recommend that you turn on emergency contact name as well as emergency contact phone number. And we also do have a text message option that you can turn on for emergency text messages in case something happens, like a rain delay, something like that along the way. You can always do that. You want to make sure that you enable these before you open up registration, especially for the text messages, because it does require that you collect the data and they do have to opt into those messages, and you can't go back and do that retroactively. But emergency contact name and phone number are always a great one to turn on. You can add additional custom questions as needed as well. In the participant report, you are able to look at your participant data. You can break it down by events if you have multiple events, so you can see how many are in that 5K, the 10K, things like that. And then you can also see the status of people's registration, such as refunds, deferrals, if they've transferred, and then also if they have edited their information, if you are allowing that through the participant management section. In the participant report, you can configure the report by using that search/change event button, so you can view different years and different data. So when you renew your race, it doesn't just disappear. It's archived, and you'll just need to find that data so you can look at it in a little bit more detail. You can also search all fields, and then we have ways that you can customize the report and add in all the different data fields that you may need. So you can customize it by going to Customize View, pick from all columns, and then add in all the different options that you are needing to view, such as maybe bib number, processing fees that the participant paid. If you have any custom questions that will determine which corral they start in or something like that, you can add all of those. All the boxes that are orange will be added to the report, and then of course the ones that aren't checked won't be. You can save that report so it's the one that you see every single time you log into RunSignup as well. For exporting options, you can export it into a CSV file, a PDF, Google Sheets, things like that. The only one I don't recommend because it doesn't pull in the data correctly would be the high-tech export. You'll want to make sure that you enable donations if you are a nonprofit or working with a nonprofit or plan on donating some or all of your funds to any type of organization that needs them. So you'll want to go to the donations and then set up general settings to make sure that you start collecting those donations. You're going to want to add in a description of the organization or group that you're working with and give a little bit more detail on where those funds will be going. And we always recommend that you do upload a logo of the organizations that you're going to be working with as well. And it's a great idea to add in different donation levels. One-click donation levels for your participants just to add on to their registration is a great way to go. And don't be afraid to add in like larger donation amounts such as $100, $150, things like that. Coupons is one of the easiest ways to offer discounts for your race, and it's a great way to run promotional ads through social media, things like that. So you can find your coupon section by going to Financial, Pricing, and then Coupons. The first thing is that you're going to just name your code, whatever it is, like this one is Labor Day Special. You can determine if it's going to be a percentage off or a dollar amount, or it's a combination of both. You're going to choose your discount type, such as the overall discount on the transaction. You can do it per event, per registrant per event. So if you're allowing people to register for 2 events, they can get, $10 off or something like that. They can double the discount that way. And of course, you can define what can be discounted. So you can discount race registration fees. You can do it for specific events only. You can do it for add-ons, store items, things like that. And then you can also set up restrictions such as limiting it to so many transactions or total registrations. So if you're using this as a way for sponsors to redeem their free registrations and they get 10 free registrations with their sponsorship, you could limit it to 10 registrations. Additional discount features that are there, but we're not going to dive into necessarily today. We have age-based pricing, multi-person pricing. We have custom memberships, such as that would be a great fit for military or first responder type discounts. We also do integrate with our club platform very well, that you can offer club membership discounts, multi-event discounts, allowing people to register for multiple events within the same transactions, things like that. We'd recommend that you don't use all of those discounts at one time because it'll get a little bit messy and you don't want to over discount your race, of course. Just choosing 1 or 2 that are going to best be suited for you. Our multi-person pricing is a very popular option for family discounts. and then age-based pricing, giving those pricing options for like maybe 18 and under, and then like 65 and older, things like that, people that may be like on fixed incomes, or just making it more affordable for families. All right, your race website, showing off your event. It's like the first impression that people have of your race, so you're going to make sure that it's a good one. So your race website is going to be automatically created once you finish up with that race wizard, and it's going to be created on our website V1 option. And by default, you'll see all of our default branding, such as like the blue theme colored, things like that. Ways that you can enhance your page is adding unlimited content, unlimited pages. Organize it, making sure not everything is just on that race info page, but it's organized in an easy way for participants to follow and find what's important to them. Making it look professional, and including key information such as packet pickup, where they go to park, where the parking is. Any course maps are always helpful and important to people. A lot of people are looking for what the awards are going to be look like. So adding in information about past awards, t-shirt reveals, things like that. And of course, showcasing your brand and being proud of that branding that you've built. In the race theme, you can choose your template. We do have a vertical or horizontal navigation, so whatever fits best for your banner image and logo and just design that you like. We have different design and layout elements that you can choose from, such as hiding that overlay over your banner image. So if you have the wording in your banner image, you can remove that layover there. You can change the header color, changing how your tiles are going to display, things like that. You can add in a race clock, a countdown clock, different taglines, social media feeds, and so on through this area. You can upload or change your logo if you didn't do that in the race wizard in this section. And then you can also change your banner images as well. We do recommend that you add an FAQ tab. You can do that with our V1 by going to our custom content sections and adding in a frequently asked questions. And this would just be a great way to keep your participants up to date on all of the important information that you have. And then you can add that in our website V2 option, that there will be another webinar on that in a few weeks. So that is it for our onboarding on our basic website setup. If you guys will have some time to go over any questions that you guys would have that we had.
Are you able to hear me, Val?
All right, so I see a question of what is the difference between V1 or V2? That's a great question. So website V1 are the ones that we were highlighting. That is our basic layout. There's not a lot of customization that can be done with that particular type of website. It is very limited on what you can do. And they're just all, the websites look very similar, and you can definitely see the RunSignup branding on there. The website V2 branding builder is where you can actually build a full customizable website. There's a lot of different components that you can add in there. You can really change the content, things like that. You can add a Strava integration for the maps. There's a lot of forms and stuff you can add in there, custom content. You can add a lot of photos to your page, which you can't currently do with the V1 option. And there's just a lot more customization options within the V2. It is very easy to navigate once you start getting in there and playing with it. The downside to our V2 option right now is the fact that we do not have any templates to go with it right this second. We will in a little bit though. Okay. How can I remove the overlay events on the title image? That's a great question. I'll actually go back to this section here. If you're wanting to remove this overlay that has the name and then the date and everything like that, you're going to hop into the race template. You're going to choose the alternative layout and then always hide the race name. and that's going to remove this overlay, but it will put like a gray banner down here with the actual date that was entered into the race wizard. So the date will always display. Okay. Is there a place for volunteers to register? Yes, we do have a great volunteer platform actually. It's just going to be under volunteers and then setup. And under that setup, you're able to set up different specific tasks. You can keep them as specific or as vague as you would like to. You can set up different time slots if you needed that. You can restrict it by age. They do have their own custom waiver that you can, of course, customize and require them to sign. You can also ask certain questions, and so you can collect t-shirt sizes, things like that for your volunteers as well. And then we do have the ability to email your volunteers only so that you can keep them up to date on race day logistics and where they need to go. Let's see.
We had a question about adding a custom map or Strava route on here.
Mile and 5K, is there still one URL? Yes, there's only going to be one URL for your race. So what we refer to, so the events are going to be the different distances that are offered at your race, and those are going to be displayed on your race page. Here, like you can see, they have the live in-person and then the virtual. So those are the different events that is offered within the race, which is the Cup of Coca 5K. So if you have that 1 mile and the 5K, it's just going to be listed under that same URL. If we have a sponsorship program and we need to add those registrations, how is that done along with t-shirt sizes and things like that? We actually recommend that you have your sponsors register themselves. You can certainly import any paper entries that you have. Of course, that requires you to save all of your waivers for at least 7 years, where our system will do that for you. So make sure, we try to make sure that you guys create less work for yourselves and more work for the participant. So we recommend that you create them a coupon code, something that's unique to them, where they can go on and register themselves. They're going to be responsible for signing that waiver, choosing their own t-shirt size, and just making sure that all of their data is correct. So you can limit that coupon code to how many registrations they specifically get using the limitations. If you do want to import them, though, you can do that under participants and then paper registration import, I think it is. What is the site to search for timer companies? That is going to be runsignup.com/timer search. And then you can find all the timers that work within your area. We recommend that you just reach out to literally every single one and just get as many quotes as possible. How do you set up an inventory for t-shirts and stuff like that? That's a really great question. So we do have a simple inventory setup where you can just do it by event, or we have a more advanced setup where you can do it specifically by event and t-shirt size as well. You can access that by going to race giveaway/add-ons and then giveaway inventory. That'll take you to the basic inventory setup, and then you'll see a little button for advanced. And there is a help guide that will take you, the little help button in the upper right-hand corner, where you'll be able to take you right to the setup of the inventory as well. Do emails automatically generate from RunSignup ahead of the price increases, or is that something that we need to push on our end as well? So if you enable our automated emails for price increases, that is going to automatically be set up with our default messaging. That messaging, of course, is completely customizable. So you can go into email v2, automated emails, and then click on the price increase, and then you can update that to whatever wording you would like, and keep that branding more on point if you would like to. It's the same thing with all of our automated emails. Once they are set up, those emails will automatically be pushed out. So the incomplete registration one is automatically set up for you, ready to go, as well as that price increase, but you can go in and edit it if you would like to. If registrations are entered manually, is there a processing fee? No, there is not. There is no processing fee for anything that does not have a paid transaction. So if you have free registrations, or if you're importing them manually, then there is absolutely no processing fee on RunSignup. When I renew event, is there a checklist that you need to go through with the information like logo, t-shirt, photo, waiver, etc.? So that is a really great question. When you guys are renewing your race, it's going to take you through a very quick two-step process. When you go in to renew your race, it's going to take you into that first page of the race wizard. It's going to automatically update the information to match the next year of that same weekend. But you can always change that information. And then it's going to ask you if you want to carry over all of your settings from the previous year, and you can kind of customize those in the advanced. You can say, yes, I want to, copy over my giveaways, the waiver, things like that. So all of that will carry over. The things that are not automatically updated during that renewal is any custom wording that you added, such in your custom content sections, or if you build out new pages. None of that is going to be updated, and you'll need to go through and find that information. As well as if you edit the email confirmation, that is not updated automatically if you go in there and add specific wording. So all of that is done. If you are changing your event a little bit, like adding an event or taking away event, you'll go through that renewal process, and then you can hop back into that race wizard and add or delete any events that you are having or changing for that year. Can you not include the become a fundraiser or join a team section on the registration and only have it on the website? Not for the fundraising section. That's always going to be an option there, I believe. I'm gonna actually have to double check on that particular question, Caitlin, and get back to you on that one, if there's a way to actually disable it within the registration process. How do you set early registration discount? You're going to do that by setting up those different registration periods. You can do that on step 3 of the race wizard by creating like a 2-week window with your early bird pricing of $25, and then add a second window, add a second registration window with your regular pricing. So you can do it in that race wizard, or you can navigate to race, registration, and then dates, pricing, and options. And in that same section is actually where you can add additional waivers if you needed to, such as USATF, if you needed to add that one in there. So this is a common question that I actually get, is about sponsorship. So we entered all our sponsorship levels, but cannot get them to show up on the website, or is that a V2 thing? So when you enter in your sponsorship levels, that's actually not for people to come on and sign up to be a sponsor on your page. When you go to sponsor and then manage, you'll be able to add in your sponsors as like with their logo and their information, and then your sponsorships will show up on that page. If you're wanting to invite sponsors to sponsor your race, essentially, there is a workaround creating a custom content page and using the invite sponsor link, which you can get with your account manager, or you can just email val@runsignup.com and I can help walk you through that. What is the cost for additional donations made by others to a participant? So our donations is a flat 4% processing fee. As I mentioned, you can have the donor pay that processing fee. you can absorb it, you can split it, and then you can also have additional options. If you choose to absorb that fee, you can give the donor the option to pay it with a little custom messaging, and you can find that under financial pricing and then processing fee types. I'm scrolling through the messaging. Blair's mic isn't working, so it's just taking me a little bit longer. It looks like we may have covered a lot of these. Answered. The question, I do have a question. Are you going to be adding giveaways for volunteers? Currently, you can set up those the giveaway using one of the custom questions. That is something that is in our volunteer V2, but I don't have a release date for when that would be ready. So currently, you can just cover that using the custom questions in the volunteer section. Does the stuff I show entered on V1 show up on V2? That is a great question, and unfortunately, no. So if you did build out some custom content pages using our V1, you are going to have to copy and paste those over into V2. So it is a little time consuming. The great thing about V2 is that you can start building out your page while registration is still open, so you don't have to take anything down. And then you can just simply enable it when it's ready to go. So just make sure that you start working on moving all of that custom content section, all of those custom content sections over into V2, and making sure all that stuff is there before you start deleting anything, because you don't want to lose it. So someone is asking, is there a way that you can view the website before going live? And as the race director, absolutely. You can always view your website just by clicking the view website up in the upper right-hand corner. And then you can actually test going through that registration process, which we encourage you to do as many times as possible. If you don't have a payment account set up, and you haven't started the payment account set up, you can pop that into test mode and you can go through that. If you did start that payment account set up and it's verifying, you'll just have to wait until it's done for you to be able to go through that registration process. But you can absolutely still view your website and go through all the different pages and things like that, and just make sure that it looks good and it looks exactly the way you want to, just by clicking on view website. Does the email marketing only pick up past runners of your race? Yes, because every race owns their own data, and we are strong believers in that. So RunSignup does not own that data. We don't share that data, and we don't spam other race participants for marketing purposes. You have the ability to upload custom content lists, or custom email lists if you do have those from another organization, or if you're using another email platform such as MailChimp or something like that. You can import all of those. So feel free to reach out to people that that put on races and see if you can get their list as well, and just kind of share that data, that kind of thing. But yes, you can only have access to your races that you put on. If you do put on multiple races, you can email across those races though, and make sure that you're cross marketing for all of your events, whether they're ticket events, running events, things like that. I have a question of, can I add an outside link to my race description on V1? I'm assuming this means that you have a website, like a different website that you have more information on. You can do that in step 1. There is a spot for a URL where it will go to when registration is closed, and you can also it'll be linked on there as more additional race details are here, and it'll actually show the race link itself. So just to clarify, can I build my site on V2 while registration remains open on V1? Absolutely. So you'll just go into race and then website V2 and website builder, and you can start building out that website. And you can even view that website by clicking view website so you can see what it looks like. And then to enable V2 when you're ready, you can go to race website V2, and then I think it's like enable website V2, and you'll be able to turn it on there. So you can turn it on and off, and it'll just go between V1 and V2 if you needed to, but you can absolutely start building it at any time that you're ready, and then just turn it on as soon as it's done. All right, so it looks like I've covered most of the questions in here. It looks like there's some more detailed ones as far as like personal races needing to be looked at. So if we didn't get to your question, we will be looking at all of them and then emailing you if we weren't able to get you an answer today. But we want to thank everyone for joining us, and look for, we have a RunSignup 101 email V2 webinar that's actually next week. So join in on that one so you can learn more about our email platform. All right, thanks everyone.